Today, we'll focus on how do you solve difficult problems, right? There are 6 ways. We'll come to each one of them. But first and foremost is the fact that a lot of times, the place where a problem surfaces is not the place where you should be solving that problem. So for example, if you observe a problem, let's say in sales, so let's say the pipeline for your sales organization is not enough for you to meet your revenue numbers. So that's a problem. You need to resolve that problem. According to systems thinking and systems theory, trying to solve the problem within the sales organization is the least impactful thing that we can do. What typically is recommended is you go one level up, abstract the problem one level up to figure out where exactly is the problem. Find the root cause of the problem, because the symptom is what is observed. The root cause lies elsewhere. So it is super important for you to understand that you need to go to the root of the problem, which is something that you can do by abstracting one level up. You look at the system in which the problem is found, and you abstract one level up, or find the containing system in which the problem is found, and try and solve the problem in the containing system. So, for example, if the problem is in pipeline or in sales, you go one level up and try and see if you can solve the problem in the market, or you solve the problem in the product organization, or you can solve the problem in your manufacturing organization, in a system which is abstracted one level up. Okay, so that's the first thing to do, which is to identify the real problem that we need to solve, because and not necessarily solve the symptom. So identify the real problem by abstracting the problem, abstracting and trying to figure out what is the root cause, and then try to solve that problem, right? So there are 6 ways that you can come up with ideas, or you can solve difficult problems. Let's look at all 6 ones, and then we'll go one by one deeper. The 6 ways are, you can use your intuition, you can use your imagination, you can use inspiration, you can use your intention, you can use interaction, and you can use imitation. So I'll repeat again: intuition, imagination, inspiration, intention, interaction, and imitation. So let's look at each one of them one by one. Intuition. So typically, if you've identified a problem which you have solved before in some other organization, or you have enough expertise on within your organization, within yourself, if you're an expert in that particular area, or if you have someone who's got significant expertise in that particular area, you can potentially look at their intuition and look at figuring out, what is the intuitive solution to that problem. You identify an expert and ask them, okay, according to you, how do we solve this problem? Typically, these are problems which are common across organizations, which multiple organizations have already solved. And all you need to solve the problems are expertise. So, for example, you want to automate a certain process because there are workarounds within the organization that have created shadow IT. You know that you can deploy RPA bots to automate those processes. If you figured out that there are information silos and which need to be made transparent, and the flow of information then needs to become complete and all bi-directional, you know that all you need to do is to ensure that the data flows back into one single source of truth. And then everyone who needs access to the data actually comes to the single source of truth and accesses the data from there. In some cases, the answers may not be as clear, right? It may not be something that has already been done and dusted in multiple times in multiple organizations. So what do you do in that case? In that case, you can use your imagination. This is something that a lot of people struggle with. This is where you need to take leaps of faith in terms of your imagination. You need to think about what would ideal future state look like. You have a problem today. What would be the ideal state or the ideal finished state that would benefit your organization? And once you've figured out what that ideal state is or the end state is, then you start working backwards in terms of, in order to achieve that ideal state, what is the technology that you can deploy today, maybe 2 months down the line, 3 months down the line, in phases, if the end vision is significantly large. This is something that you can use when you are looking at solving for strategic imperatives, right? You imagine what the ideal situation is and work backwards. So that's the second way to solve difficult problems. The third way is inspiration. Now, what happens when you do not know the ideal state, right? So you have certain amount of data, you have some problems that you need to solve for your business, and you have some inkling that, maybe this is something that we can solve using artificial intelligence or machine learning. So in that case, what happens is you kind of use your inspiration, use technology, use similar stuff that people have attempted as inspiration. You can look at other industries which have done some interesting work on similar problems and be inspired by those people and try and explore whether you can adopt some of these solutions outside of your regular scope of vision, your industry, your peers, the size of your organization or whatever, and be inspired by what someone else is doing and kind of apply similar learning in your organization. This is something that you can do in order to solve problems which are a little difficult in nature, which means that there are no clear-cut answers. There are no fixed answers, right? So you're exploring. So you're exploring in terms of what is possible, what is the art of the possible. That is where you need to use your inspiration. Then comes intention. So this is all about solving problems in a very systematic way using A/B testing or similar methods. You run an experiment, test it, whether it works or not. If it works, you double down on it. If it doesn't work, you go back and design a different experiment. So this is the scientific way of finding a solution when you do not know what the end state or what the end solution could be. Again, typically AI projects fall in this gamut. You do not know what the end result could be, but you know that this is a problem that has all the characteristics that tell you that this is something that can be solved by machine learning or artificial intelligence or something similar, right? Or blockchain, for that matter, whatever it is. So then you experiment. You kind of you learn and build on your learning. These are projects that are really great in order for you to figure out problems around the strategic imperatives. Because if you, for example, wicked problems. So for example, if you really want to know the limits of technology, or you want to figure out how can you leverage the data that is present or residing in your organization, right? How do you mine the data? So problems like that, you can use the intentionality or the ability to experiment on an ongoing basis. Agile methodology, in terms of, if you want to call it that, is another way to solve difficult problems. Fifth way is to use interaction with other peers, whether it is within your organization, which with your business, and you kind of have a dialogue with them, or there are times when you can actually interact with the technology service providers or technology products organization and tell them, okay, this is the problem that we have. You tell us how would you solve it. You interact with them. You kind of pick the brains of people around you in your ecosystem. You talk to your software vendor. You talk to your services partner. You talk to your maybe ERP partner. Maybe you talk to your transformation partner if you have one. So interaction. They have a much wider world view of what is happening around the world, which they can then bring to conversation with you when you are able to open up what is the problem, about the problem that you're trying to solve within your organization. They may have seen similar problems being solved in different industries in different ways. They may have products which they're not necessarily talking about because they do not know what problem it solves for you. But the moment you open up and talk about your problem to your partners, there is a good probability that one of them might have an interesting solution to solve the problem that you have. So that's the fifth way to solve complex, difficult problems, which is through interaction. Last but not the least is imitation. So it's a very simple best practices model. You look at what your peers have done in the industry. You look at what you've done in the past and just replicate it. This is the easiest form. And this is something that you can do for any project that you know or any problem that you know exactly how to solve. There is no new learning. There is no new figuring out the problem. All you need to do is execute and solve the problem as quickly as possible, as effectively as possible, and as efficiently as possible. In that case, you use the imitation method to solve. You just copy whatever is the best practice for solving that particular problem in your industry and just quickly deploy the technology to solve the problem and move on to the next problem. One of the things that we need to keep in mind when we are trying to solve these problems is that it is super important that we are able to balance speed and impact. Right? What do I mean by speed and impact? On one end, you cannot take a long time to solve any of these problems. You need to be able to quickly move, identify what is the real problem, and identify how you want to solve the problem. There are times when you can look at multiple ways to solve. If you want to use your intuition, what would you do? If you use your imagination and find out what is the end state, what will be the solution? If you want to get inspired, what could potentially be the solution? If you want to use the intentionality or run experiments, what would be the case? You can combine some of these methods in order to come up with better solutions. Again, all of those mix and match is okay. But what we need to keep in mind is that while it is important to spend time to deeply think about the problem and the best way to solve the problem so that you drive significant business value for your business, while at the same time, you cannot take too much time, right? You need to be quick. So that's the balance that I'm talking about. On one end, you need to take your time, think about the problem deeply. On the other hand, you need to be quick. You need to be fast. You need to be able to solve problems at the speed that your business wants you to solve the problem, and maybe slightly faster if you really want to build your influence within the organization. So that's the balance that I was talking about when I mentioned, scale, the effectiveness, and the speed and the impact. You need to maintain that balance. And the more you solve these problems, the better you and your team will get. And the better you and your team gets, the easier it becomes to maintain this balance and create ever increasing speed and solve ever increasing complexity in terms of the problems that you're trying to solve, right? It's like an upward spiral, and you have tailwinds. So once you start doing all of that, you start getting better and better and better. You continue to build more and more and more influence within your organization. And as you continue to do that, you typically find that your business will want to more and more partner with you. They will come to you with problems because you now become the people who will actually solve business problems quickly and effectively. And that, I believe, is the role of a CIO. It is not to manage IT. It is to solve problems. It is to find interesting problems to solve and solving them in interesting ways through deploying technology. That is the role of a CIO. Not necessarily just managing your IT system, right? I know it's a lofty mission because in a lot of organizations, CIOs are considered to be people who deploy technology, and that's about it. But there is a significant opportunity for all CIOs, or for that matter, IT managers and people who support the various business functions within the IT organization, to become the go-to person for your business to find and solve problems by deploying technology. Therefore, increasing the effectiveness and the efficiency of your business. There lies the value of IT. There lies the value of CIO. So I'd like to stop there and see if there are any questions that have come up in the chat. That's okay. So there doesn't seem to be any questions right now. So with that, I'd like to thank you for your time. And I hope that you are finding these LinkedIn Lives and these recorded sessions useful, helpful. Please do let me know what you think about these sessions. And I'm really looking forward to connecting with you tomorrow. We will be hosting Alan Haskett. He's the author of an upcoming book, which is called Start Fast, and he will talk about his book Start Fast and how you can achieve rapid impact through digital transformation. So Alanis is a very seasoned business leader, has been CTO and CIO of large organizations, both public and private. He is known nationally and internationally for being one of the early pioneers of digital transformation in New Zealand. So I hope you find some time and join us tomorrow for the session live. With that, thank you. Take care. Talk to you tomorrow. Bye.